She is the global editorial director of Conde Nast Traveler magazine. Whatever gets featured in the Conde Nast Traveler magazine then becomes the next it thing.
I ran the India edition for 10 years. And interestingly, our 10th year was 2020. It was the worst possible time for the travel and hospitality industry.
How is the perception of India outside of India now?
That's a good question. There's a lot of gray area. Everything you say about India is completely true to one person and completely a lie to somebody else.
Our bucket lists encouraging overconsumption and ruining our planet.
Look, I think bucket lists are overrated. I mean, I've never had a bucket list.
Hi, we have a very exciting person in our studio today. Her name is Divia Thani. She is the global editorial director of Conde Nast Traveler magazine. She has 8 markets under her. She's based out of the UK. Divya Thani's magazine lists can really change the fortunes of a hotel or a city or a country. Whatever gets featured in the Conde Nast Traveler magazine then becomes the next it thing. She also happens to be a very dear friend of mine. And it is my privilege to be speaking with her in the studio because she keeps a really busy schedule living in London and jet-setting around the world. Welcome to Not Your Aunty, Divya. It is so good to see you here today. You know, Kiran is under the weather, so I have you all to myself.
I don't know if that's a threat or...
I've known you long enough to, not delve into who you are, but what you're thinking right now, which is great because even though we are friends, we don't have these conversations in real time. So, welcome back again.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here and congratulations on how well the podcast is doing. It's really amazing to see how popular it's become and just how much people are appreciating it. So congratulations to you and to Kiran.
Thank you so much.
Your new book is out as well, which is very, very exciting. The Wrong Way Home, which I had the pleasure of reading as a manuscript, actually. So I consider myself very privileged. And it's a great book. It's an important book. And it's a really fun book because all of your writing is so fun. I'm so envious of that.
Oh, thank you so much. So I think let's just start with right now, actually, which is what does it take to be the global editorial director of Conde Nast Traveler with 11 markets under you?
8. Just 8.
Just 8 markets under you. What does it take to get here?
Well, I think, it's I've been very fortunate in my career. I've been on the brand, on Conde Nast Traveler, the brand.
Where you launched it in India.
I launched it in India in 2010. So it's 15 years now that we launched it. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary last week in Delhi at the Oberoi, which was, well, you were there, so you know that it was great. And it's been an incredible journey. So I ran the India edition for 10 years. And interestingly, our 10th year was 2020. So I had big plans for Traveler that year. But of course, a pandemic put all of that to rest. It was a horrible year for the travel industry. It was a terrible year. There were no flights. You remember that time we were grounded at home. It was the worst possible time for the travel and hospitality industry. And I really thought, I had some very dark days. I thought we would never travel again. I thought we were just going to be cooped up in our homes forever. And but then at the end of that year, we had a big... the rest of the world was slowly coming out of that very severe lockdown phase. And we had a big restructure in the company, a big reorg. And, we started to work differently. And I ended up getting a global role. And I moved to London in 2021 as a result of that. And it's been an incredible learning experience. I don't know what it takes to get there. I think, it takes everything that it takes anyone else in any job. I think it's, you work really hard. You try and find something that you're really good at and you just keep at it. And you'll have good days and bad days. And you'll have times where you think maybe you should switch and do something else. I think everyone's had that thought. in their lives and their careers and their journeys. And sometimes the switch is the right thing to do. And sometimes, the couple of times that I thought about, maybe doing something else, for some reason I just couldn't go through with it. And I thought, I love this too much and I'm having too much fun. And when you weigh things up, it just felt like this was still the best role for me. And I got very lucky to then have this new opportunity come up. I've been on the brand 15 years, but I've never felt like I did the same job 2 years in a row. I barely feel like I do the same job 2 days in a row. It's been, there's been so much disruption in publishing. There's been so much disruption in travel, in hospitality, that I've just always had to keep learning and keep evolving and keep sort of keep ahead of the game. And it just makes you, and I guess I'm sort of addicted to it now. I love it. So,
but see, you make it look easy on the outside. If one looks at your Instagram, one will get the impression that her life is all about, sun-kissed holidays and luxury chateaus and mountains.
Well, that is the point of Instagram, isn't it?
I know.
The point is to make it look amazing and have people.
I know, but there's always a metaphor that is of a duck that glides over, or a swan that glides over water is furiously paddling from beneath it. And you can't really see that, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Even in my personal interactions with you, you somehow have never seemed very stressed to me, although I think even our listeners may not understand what your role truly entails. With so many publications under you, the kind of responsibility you report to the US, to the most important person in publishing, which is Anna Wintour, a legend. So where do you get the confidence from to take this on, even when you got to know that you were getting this global role? And I'll come about moving to the UK and all later, but I'd be quite shaken, right? Because you're in India, you're handling an Indian market, you're a very well-known person here, and now you've been catapulted into...
Right. Well, I was quite shocked. And the truth is I wasn't. When I began, I would be lying if I said I felt very confident about doing it. I absolutely did not. I had a lot of imposter syndrome.
You did, huh?
That first year, I did. To be honest, I wasn't entirely sure I would be able to do the job. I thought I would give it a year and see how it went. I thought I had nothing to lose. I should give it a year at least and see if I can swing it. And it was rough. My first year was difficult because I was running the Indian edition, which is, obviously very close to my heart.
Which is your baby. Yeah.
And I love it. But it's our smallest market. It's our smallest edition. And then I had to obviously run the US, which is our largest market by far. And the UK, I had, 2 or 3 other markets in Europe at the time. I had China, which is a beast and very large as well. So it was a lot. It was a lot to learn. The learning curve that first year was extreme. And
all markets are different, right?
Every single market is different. The audience in every market is completely different. The industry in every market is different. And you have to learn not just the audience, but you have to learn the industry. Who are your clients? What are they coming to you for? What are the problems that the industry faces in that particular market? What are their priorities for that particular market? How can we provide a solution to whatever it is that they're looking for? And so it was a lot of learning. And then, of course, just learning also within Conde Nast, learning how the company works globally. Every single market functioned completely differently, all new people, all different languages. And so it was a lot.
Did you feel like giving it all up on a whim and running back to India?
Many times.
You did, huh? Wow.
Many, many times. In fact, even before I left to go to London, when I was still here, and this is still 2021, so everything was happening on Zoom, and so you're dealing with teams and teams of people that you've never met in person. You have no relationship with them. You have to cultivate a relationship with them on Zoom. And it's terribly difficult to do. And so I had many days. I mean, many days where I thought, you know what, I don't think I'm cut out for this. I don't think I don't think this is something that I can do. And is it going to make me incredibly unhappy?
I'm feeling nervous just listening to this. Okay.
Well, it's all in the past. It's all in the past now. First year was incredibly challenging. I cannot, I can speak about it now.
Yeah.
Because it's in the past and because I don't feel that way. And touch wood, I hope I never have to repeat a year like that in my life.
Yeah, new country, new role. How did you cope? What gave you the courage to go on then?
I don't think I had courage. I don't think that it was courage. I think I just went to bed every night believing that the next day I would be better.
So one step ahead of the other. That's it.
That's it. I don't think I had a vision. I mean, I did on paper. Yes, I had a vision.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, I had a great vision for the brand. That's what got me hired. But in terms of how I was going to make it happen, given the challenges on the ground, I didn't. And I just trusted that every day I would wake up and tomorrow would be better and I would do better and I would learn and I think the other thing is I report into Anna Winter, who has been an incredible mentor and boss to me. And I think one of the things that I've learned in these last few years of working with her directly and working in different markets, because prior to that, I'd worked primarily in India and a little bit in the US, is that it's okay to make a mistake.
Oh.
And it's not just okay to make a mistake, but it's okay to say that you made the mistake. In fact, it's important.
You learned this from Anna Wintour.
Well, I mean, I think I learned it not just from her, but from the culture of Conde Nast.
Yeah.
Completely.
Oh, that's amazing, though.
Not just that it's okay to make a mistake, but that it's okay to say that you made the mistake and that it's actually important to say that you made the mistake and to learn from it and to move on and to not beat yourself up about it.
That's really a healthy way of being in a company.
It's massive. And you know what? Not even just the company, Shonali. I would say it's actually for life in general. None of us is perfect and we're all sort of human beings that are evolving every day. And to think that you are doing everything right and to believe that everything you think is correct is a fallacy. It's arrogant. It's not real. And no one can say that, no matter how brilliant they are.
Yeah.
The best minds in the world have made mistakes, but the key is to course correct. And the key is to, I think now the thing that I've really learned that I try and live by and that I try and emulate is you make a decision really fast and then you go all guns blazing. And if it's not the right decision, you pivot. And it's not a big deal, but you don't second guess it and you don't look back and beat yourself up.
Right.
You just keep going. And as and when you need to course correct change, you need to make a U-turn, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But don't keep second guessing your own decisions. Because I think
this is more important for women than even for men, isn't it?
I think so, because I think men somehow seem to have a greater confidence when they make those decisions.
Yeah. I mean, there was a male team that did the Jaguar campaign, right? That campaign that went so long. So yes.
Well, these are obviously generalizations, and I think I've met many women who are extremely decisive, and I've met many men who are not. So it is definitely a generalization, but I do feel like, especially as a woman, I think my personality is such that I used to generally sleep on my decisions, and in my personal life I still do. But professionally, I've learned to just be faster, because I think what happens is when you're leading a team, if you're not absolutely clear and you're not providing direction immediately and with absolute clarity, you're confusing everyone else.
True.
And you're stalling everyone else, and everyone else is slow and everyone else is waiting. And it starts to create.
A lot depends on that one
confusion.
nod from you, basically, that yes or no.
Completely. And why? I
And
think
why?
it's not
Yeah.
just enough to say yes or
Yeah.
no, but in order for everyone to understand you, you have to explain your way of thinking so that they understand your way of thinking.
Of course.
And then, I think it just makes life a lot easier for everyone when they have that kind of clarity at work. Your personal lives are stressing enough as it is. Your work you should have as much clarity as possible.
But listen, your appointment and Leena and ours happened around the same time, didn't it? Or maybe a year. A few, give or take
perhaps,
a few months, right?
Perhaps, yes.
And that was amazing. We were just coming out of COVID, and everyone's careers and future was still really uncertain. You were sort of groping and, feeling the contours of normal life in the dark, or what life would be then. And then Indians have always felt that we haven't had the same kind of a playing field that a white Western uh, person has had, a professional has had. And so then to see her appointment, which was like phenomenal, and you in your global role, I think it was really a great moment because Indians have so much self-doubt, and it's true. I mean, we we pretend to have a lot of national pride. As a vague concept, we do, but we're almost apologetic about ourselves and uncertain. So I think two women in global roles out there, irrespective of the size of companies or whatever, is a great thing for Indian girls to think big, think beyond the Indian markets.
Yeah, but I will say yes, and Leena is extraordinary. I've had a chance to meet her a few times. She's incredible and such an inspiration. And I think her style of leadership, which she talks about a lot, this idea of leading with empathy is so important. And I think that, I do feel like as Indians, we've always seen great success of Indians in the West, specifically in tech. I think specifically in finance and banking and investment banking.
Yeah, but spotlight roles we haven't seen.
Well, I would say that we've seen that in those industries, and they're primarily men in those roles. So I think it's amazing to have someone like Leena in a very different role in what is one of the world's most inarguably incredible fashion houses. So I think that's so wonderful. It's wonderful to see a woman there. I think that, for me, I think when we're thinking about what Indian girls are thinking and what they're striving for, I hear a lot these days about representation and people sort of wanting to see people who look like them and sound like them in these roles. And to be honest, I have to confess, I don't quite understand that. I grew up in India. I watched the same TV commercials as everyone else, but I never thought, and perhaps it's because of my own mom. It's very possible it's because of my own mom, who was, a working mom and worked, as a stockbroker and was just extremely independent and extremely intelligent and worked, my mom just turned 80 and, she continues to be extremely active and you know her so well.
Of course. She's a force.
My mom's a force. And so I think perhaps because of that, I never doubted that we could do anything we wanted. And I think it's important to remember that you have to carve your own path. Someone else doesn't have to have taken it before you. You can be the trailblazer. You don't have to see someone who looks like you to know that it can be done. You have to look inside you to know that it can be done. I think that's really, really important. I mean, we have to stop looking externally, not just for validation, but even for inspiration.
Yeah. I think, Divya, people often ask me, growing up in India of the 80s and 90s, at that time, women did not have as many opportunities as they have today. But your two sisters, my sister and I, two girls, my mom actually never worked, but is fiercely independent.
Your mom's a force as well.
So I think I never grew up being conscious of the fact that I'm a girl and I can't do this.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
And I hope moms today are sort of, and I'm sure they are actually, are sort of giving this vibe off to their daughters that it's absolutely, you're as good as the next
Of course.
gender. And
Of
now there are so many
course.
genders now, so we have to put it out like that. Coming back to your move, Divya, and I will sort of, at some stage, I want to talk to you about what qualifications got you to this place. But in your 40s, to make this switch, leave the comfort of home and friendships, and relocate to London, which when you live there, despite the Indian population, everything is still a foreign culture.
Mhm.
And I think the climate is the most intimidating thing about it. And the next is getting taxis. But how was that shift? Just city to city, country to country.
Look, it is, of course, it is a big shift in terms of leaving behind my family here and moving there by myself. But, London is, I would say, it is, first of all, it's a place I'm very comfortable with because I spent most of my summers there growing up. So I had that advantage that I wasn't moving somewhere that I didn't know. I had been, dozens and dozens of times. And so it didn't feel so foreign. There's no language barrier.
Yeah.
I think if I had moved somewhere where there was a language barrier, I think that would have been 100 times more challenging. I had a lot of friends there anyway. And because it's London, you always have people passing through.
Except if it's Jan and Feb.
Except if it's Jan through March, it's impossible to get anyone to come and visit.
But were you at all those months, grey, dark months?
Oh, awful.
Did that destabilize you?
Awful. Was it last year? I think, I have to say, before I moved, when I would read about SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
Which
seasonal
is
anxiety disorder.
Oh, sorry, is it?
Yeah.
And, it's this idea that you get sort of really depressed and low during this time of the winter in that particular season. And to be honest, I really thought, like, what kind of wuss do you have to be to have the weather affect you that much?
I know, throw on a sexy coat, wear some boots, take yourself on a walk.
Get over yourself. I really didn't realize how real it is. And I'm sure of it. I think it hit me last winter, last January or last February, because I also made a very stupid decision to not travel for 1 month in the year. And for some reason, I chose February. I chose February because I thought it's the shortest month. I can manage it.
Okay.
But it's clearly the worst month.
I mean, it's short only by 2 days. I hope you realize that.
I know. It's so stupid, right? I didn't speak to anyone before I made this idiotic decision.
And then?
Because anyone with half a brain would have told me, don't choose February, because it is the worst month to be in London. Anyway, and I remember, I think it was maybe the 1st of March where I was on a flight out, and I think I was going to Dubai or Saudi, and somewhere in the Middle East. And I remember being in the car from the airport in Dubai to my hotel. And as we were in the car, I suddenly felt my shoulders drop, and I just felt, and I don't know what exactly
your body
I felt,
thaw.
But my body thaw. And in my head, the only line that came to my brain at the time, I remember thinking this is, oh my God, I feel like myself again.
Oh.
And I didn't even realize that I'd had this sort of very low level, I don't know if it was depression or just low level, just lowness. I had been so low the month before without realizing it. And all of a sudden, 4 minutes in the sunshine, and I felt like a normal person. And I just thought, oh my God, this SAD thing
is real. And we really do take the sun for granted living in India.
My God.
How fortunate are we to be living in this part of the world?
Oh my God, I tell you. I can handle the cold. I have no problem with that. I've lived in New York, and it's freezing. But if the sun is out and the sky is blue, it's fine. It's just
you can deal with it.
You can deal with it.
Totally.
It's the dark and the damp and the fact that, it's dark at 4 in the afternoon and it's dark at 8 in the morning when you're leaving the house. It's too much. So anyway, moral of the story
Delhi is like that right now, though not because it's London, because of the smog. It's shocking. By the way, I was there 2 days ago, and I felt like I was in London. It was dark at 4. There was no sun. It was blocked by all the
Was it that
soot.
bad?
It was awful. And I was actually feeling that, I mean, I know Bombay is no better, but
Well,
Just
Bombay's a little better.
through the
Yeah.
smog, we see the sun here. You don't see it there
Oh,
on the
gosh.
worst days.
Well,
Yeah.
I really hope they get that under control because I love Delhi, as do you. I love
know.
Delhi so much, and this is a really terrible thing, and we have to get it under control
I mean, I
for
don't
so
think we
many
can.
reasons.
Yeah, I don't think we can do much, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so talking to you about your role, how is the perception of India and the Indian traveler
Mhm.
outside of India now, and has it changed from what it used to be?
Yes, it has changed dramatically, and it has changed dramatically in a very short period of time.
Just post-COVID?
I would say the exhilaration has been post-COVID.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So in the past 5 years, I would say the change in perception has been unprecedented. And I have to confess, I feel like it is one of my greatest privileges that I'm able to do this job
Articulate
at this time
India
in
to
history.
the world.
It just feels so like such an honor. I think that previously we were, India today overall, forget about travel, but India today overall as an economy, it's being seen today globally as such a strong nation. Touch wood. It's being seen as, a very powerful nation. The fact that we have such a young population that is educated, that is honestly English speaking, that has fundamentals that are so strong in things like STEM and tech, math, sciences. All of that has given us this incredible advantage. I think politically we are, showing a tremendous amount of strength, which I think again is, seems to be unprecedented.
Stability, yeah.
Stability, growth, growth despite all of the geopolitical headwinds, again, which seem to be unprecedented in terms of their severity. I think that all of this has really contributed to a lot of eyes on India that are looking at it very curiously. We used to laugh and sort of joke and say that, India will always be the next big thing. But now I truly believe that we are in such a position of strength that we're recognizing it. And I think that's tremendous. The confidence that's coming out of the country, this sort of idea that we can do anything and that we are independent, that we are strong independently as a nation, is just enormous. So I think when the outside world looks at us today, yes, there's still a lot of thinking.
Stereotypes.
There's still a lot of stereotypes. And to be honest, I will also say that many of them are true.
They are true.
I also feel like we can't, you can't throw it all out and say, but we are so powerful. No, we still have tremendous issues in this country that have to be dealt with. And that are fundamentally very challenging that we have not been able to find solutions for. So I think we have to acknowledge that. But overall, I would say the perception of India today is so much more positive than it used to be. And I think people really see it as the future. And I think that there's very few places in the world at the moment where you feel like, and I've been saying this for the last few years, because I've been born and raised in India, I've always taken for granted that you can be hopeful about the future.
Yes.
We have always been optimistic about India. We have always thought that India is on its way up. At the moment, it feels like a rocket ship. But even in the times when it didn't feel like a rocket ship and it felt like a very slow, sort of we were the tortoise in the race with the hare. But we always felt like tomorrow was going to be better than today. And again, like the sunshine, that's something that I think we took for granted.
Yeah.
Because, after living in the West and I spend so much time in traveling the world now, you don't have that feeling in a lot of places.
Yeah.
You feel like in many places that the best is behind you.
Yeah.
And that you're not entirely sure
You can see the decline.
You can see the decline. And I think that sort of change is incredible.
Yeah.
And
it's a
that
very
is-
exciting time for the
It's
country.
an incredibly exciting time. So I think when people look at India, they see the future. And I think seeing the future in a place makes everyone excited about it. It makes them see the opportunities. How do we take advantage of the next big thing? And so I think that the perception of India today is incredibly strong. When it comes to the Indian traveler, we are the fastest growing travel market in the world.
Even in the luxury segment?
It's harder to find exact data points for this because we don't, it's very hard to
segregate, yeah.
It's very hard to segregate. Also the Indian traveler is immensely fragmented,
right.
because you have a lot of Indians who travel with different passports, for example.
Oh, yeah.
We're still Indian and we're, and they're still living in the country, or even if they're living elsewhere, but they're completely sort of connected to the motherland. You have, huge numbers of NRIs. You have massive diasporas, all of whom are extremely influenced by what's happening in India because their connections and their roots to India are so strong,
right.
Which is not necessarily the case with a lot of other diasporas, I would say. And so it's very hard to track.
Yeah.
In the luxury segment, not just in travel, but even retail. They find it very difficult to actually be able to get a handle on exactly how much Indians are spending. And then to be honest, a lot of times they're paying cash. And so we don't even know, right? So there's less records. Anyway, many reasons.
Even now, after demonetization, they pay cash?
I don't.
I guess some disorganized sectors.
I don't know, to be perfectly honest, but there is a lot of gray area. And so I think that so we are the fastest growing market in terms of global travel. And everyone has seen that. It was front page in the FT a couple of years ago. And it's a market that everybody wants to come into. They realize the potential of it. They have no idea how to navigate this market.
Yeah, because even Indians don't have a real idea.
Precisely, right?
Because we change every few meters.
And it's so fragmented. It's so difficult.
I mean, if you look at it, the South Bombay person is so different from a Bandra person. Is so different from a Mulund Malad person.
Exactly.
It's so different from a Pavai person.
Of course. And then you extrapolate that across the nation.
I know. Oh my God. It's a minefield.
So it is very difficult. But again,
that's what makes us unique, actually.
That's what makes us unique. That's actually, touch wood, that's what makes, with Conde Nast Traveler, it's been great for us because we're able to, we're in a position where we can handhold a lot of people that are looking at the India market and guide them to how they should actually be working here. But it is something that everyone has to realize is not going to give them returns immediately. It's a tremendously hard market. Even at a luxury level, we are very value conscious and value driven.
Right.
And so that's something that people are not used to because they're used to people being, if you're extremely wealthy, you don't think about a few $1,000s extra that you're paying for service or you're paying for convenience. Whereas for us, even at the luxury level,
100%.
They will compare and contrast and they will do all sorts of
100%.
possibly even unethical things.
Yes.
And compare and contrast and just go with the lowest price.
Correct.
Without really valuing
it's just
the
built
hard
in
work
our bones.
of people.
It's coded in our DNA.
So it is changing, thankfully. It is changing a little bit.
I think it's changing for the next generation. But I think that for people like you and me, our generation is still quite deeply set in those ways.
I think so. I mean, again, I would say it varies. It's like everything else. I forget who said this, but everything you say about India is completely true to one person and completely a lie to somebody else from India. And I think that that's just true for everything. So it is so exciting to be a part of this market and to be in this moment in time when everyone is looking at it.
But you just made a Conde Nast Traveler after you went to London, has made Diwali really popular abroad, right? You introduced the Cartier Conde Nast Traveler Diwali party. And
yes.
When you did it the first year, I'm sure you thought this was a one-off, right? And now it's been declared as a national holiday, right?
Well, no, I mean,
Not thanks to you, but I'm just
yes.
saying.
Well, no, it's a
Rishi Sunak
holiday.
had it to his role. I mean, Indians have been in those positions
Yes,
recently.
yes. So what happened is we started. When I moved, when I used to go to London when I was much younger, and my family, my extended family all lives abroad, and many of them used to live in London, and New York and Hong Kong and Singapore. And so I was very familiar with those parts of the world. And there used to be, especially amongst the Sindhis, and I'm Sindhi, and you're
Really?
you're
You
married
never
to
let
one.
people know that. No one ever guessed by spending a minute with you.
Very proud of it. And so there always used to be these big Diwali balls every year. And
there
I remember
were.
that because everyone would come to Bombay in December and they would shop for the Diwali ball. And I was like, it's next October. What are you guys doing? But it was
Yeah.
such a big event.
But only
And
for
then-
the dairies.
For the dairies.
Right.
Anyway, over the years, those balls all seemed to stop. I think they used to generally be aligned to some charity or whatever, but they were big sort of social moments. And as time went by, and I think Indians just sort of became more assimilated wherever they were, those
Yeah.
balls sort of stopped happening.
Oh, I see.
So when I moved to London and I had my first Diwali there, and granted, it was still the pandemic, so there was, not very much happening.
Mhm.
Small things at people's homes the way we're used to. Very beautiful. But I thought there's nothing feels as glamorous as it does back in Bombay.
Right.
And I wanted to have a Diwali moment in London that replicated the way
The
that we
grandeur.
celebrate at home, the way
yeah.
we celebrate in Bombay. It's such an amazing time.
is.
Bombay, Delhi, I mean, wherever you are
Yeah,
in the
India.
country.
Yeah.
The
The whole country is celebrating.
it
and
celebrates and it's so beautiful.
And it's visually
everyone's
stunning,
decked
yeah.
out and everyone's wearing their favorite things and everyone is, thinking about what presents to buy
Yeah.
each other. And, there's such an air of festivity.
Yeah. And it's one of those, we have many festivals, but we take our Diwali really seriously.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I think this, and there's this real beauty, which I love about Diwali specifically, which I think is that, your pujas are so sacred and everyone takes those so seriously. And they happen in your home and they happen in your office and
Yep.
they happen in your warehouse.
And
your
that day,
storage
nobody
building.
eats or drinks
And,
alcohol, eats non-veg or drinks
know,
alcohol just on that one day.
Well, actually, after puja in my family, you can drink alcohol. I don't
Oh,
know.
nice. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I'm saying for average Indians.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Anyway, so I think that, for that, the fact that you have all of this amazing social, glamorous, amazing stuff happening, you have your Taj parties and all of that. But then you have these very sacred moments, which is the core of what Diwali is.
Yeah.
And whether you're doing a Lakshmi Puja, whatever the manifestation is in your home. I just love that those two things coexist and that they feel really seamless. We don't think about them in different ways.
Of course
they're
we
all
don't.
part of the
Yeah.
celebration. And I just really wanted something like that in London. And
Basically, you couldn't come to India on Diwali holidays. So you thought, let me take Diwali to London and do a shebang with it here and
Well,
get someone else to pay for it.
Actually, you know what I do now? What I do is I do the Diwali party with Kasia in London. And so obviously it's usually about a couple of weeks before Diwali. And then I come to Bombay for Diwali.
Oh, you're getting
so
to
I
Diwali.
get the best of both. I do all of the London parties. And
But
then
tell me about the Katia Diwali parties. I noticed that they are attended by a lot of white people who are now probably understanding the whole concept of Diwali. What has their reaction been? For them, is it just another big party, which like a
No,
theme party where you dress up?
It isn't. They love it. I mean, the editor of Tatler in the UK, Richard, is now a good friend of mine, and he says it's the best party of the year in London.
Really?
He's like, this is the most glamorous party that ever happens in London. Coming from the editor of Tatler, I feel very good about that.
Don't you start getting harassed for invites?
Oh God, you know the story,
I
so
know the
let's not go there. But
Divya, India was one of the original purveyors of luxury through our Maharajas. Who are the new Indian Maharajas as far as luxury is concerned?
in terms of patronage.
Patronage, and outside of India, in general perception, patronage,
Mhm.
who are the new Maharajas, if at all they exist?
I would say it's still India's wealthiest families, but I think what they're now looking at and what they're now commissioning and what they consider luxury. It's interesting because I think we're at a very poignant time in luxury, not just for India but globally. I think that with the last few years, especially since the pandemic, when the truth about the supply chain came out, the truth about where
Of the
things are
luxury
made
brands, yeah.
came out. Even recently,
I might have to spell that out for our audience. The supply chain, she means
where things are made, where things are actually made, where all the
where they are
components
made,
are
and then
made.
finally they are only assembled in the countries they claim to be, labeling them.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea that you think you're buying something that was entirely handcrafted in Italy or France, but really is not
Sweatshops
at all. All of that news has really come out so much more since the pandemic. What things actually cost. A particular bag, cost you $60 to make, and you're selling it for £2,000-3,000. It's, all of these things have really started to enter people's consciousness. The other thing is that, I think living in India, we're slightly more protected from this. But globally, if you take AI out of the equation in America, the economy is not what it used to be.
Oh my God, yes, it isn't.
And that's the case across most of the world, right? Anywhere you're looking, with the exception of India and the Middle East, I would say
countries
most places
struggling. There's
are
homelessness.
struggling. And so the more that people start to think about what they're spending money on, the more they're thinking harder about what they should spend on. And I think what's going to happen, I think we're really at the cusp of this, is that given that the traditional idea of luxury is being eroded, you no longer see the value in paying 60% more for something that
100%
is the same product as it was 3 years ago.
Exactly.
You're starting to really think about what constitutes luxury.
Yes.
And I think we're actually going back. We will go back to the time of the Maharajas. And what did the Maharajas do? The Maharajas identified craftsmen that were the best at what they did. And it was one guy who had probably been doing that for his entire life.
And generations.
And his dad did it before him, and his granddad did it before him. And they were great at one particular thing. And then the Maharaja would sit there and they would commission something, and it was a work of creativity. So there would be this one craftsman, but then he would think of something else that he'd seen when he was traveling by ship somewhere and said, oh, but I saw this and now I want what you're doing, but let's do something different and let's make it a little bit unique. And I want it to be something that is only for me and nobody else in the world is going to have. Completely bespoke, right? In the days that bespoke meant something.
Yes.
And I think we're heading back to that.
Yeah.
So I think, that is anyway the case with the super rich, but I think it's now trickling down to the ordinarily rich and wealthy and then to the aspirational, where you are really looking for that one incredible thing that is, by the way, found in one particular place.
Yes.
And is not something that you can buy equally on Madison Avenue, as well as on Bond Street, as well as, anywhere else in the world.
And also because, while you're at it, at some level, it also makes a difference to the life of the person who's making
100%.
it. 100%.
The impact is amazing.
The impact. For example, I was talking to my daughters just 2-3 days ago, and I was saying that instead of buying a branded shawl with some logo on it, why don't you really think of getting one shawl done with kalamkari work from Kashmir?
Of course.
Instead of an LV stole.
Exactly.
And it was just, I was speaking to them as a concept, not that they were going to the LV store to buy it, but I was saying that trying to give them the sense of real value.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, and we are so lucky that
we have so
as
much
Indians,
of that.
We have the most incredible, rich heritage and culture and tradition and artisanship and craftsmanship. And I think if you see even the way people wear saris today, you and I are great examples of this because our obsession with saris everywhere we go.
I don't know why you keep asking me to buy saris for you, even though you live in London now.
Well, I wear saris in London all the time.
That's true, you do.
But I think just this idea of hand woven, and that's something that 20 years ago, I think we were really was not part of the dialogue or the discourse. And today,
Oh, it is.
it completely is.
It's
And yes,
mainstream now.
it's mainstream. And of course, everyone doesn't know everything. And I would say my knowledge is certainly not expert knowledge at all. But I love them, and I want to find the right thing, and I want to be a patron of the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think it starts from there. It starts from that intention. Are you willing to pay the price that you would pay for a branded bag, for a sari?
Actually, that really upsets me. Even today, people will go to a luxury store, pick up that Dior bag or whatever bag. Obviously, without questioning, you can't bargain. And then if people are told that this Banarsi sari with this kind of a weave is the same price, they'll raise an eyebrow and try and find a cheaper source to get the same
But
thing.
I do feel that's changing. I feel that's changing, and I think it's changing rapidly. And I think that we are getting to that stage where I think, especially in India, especially for things like Banarasi, which are already so much a part of we see that as luxury, I would say. I think a Banarasi sari we still see as great luxury. A Pashmina shawl we still see as great luxury. So I hope that we're able to, again, it comes back to being confident, right? And as Indians, I hope that we feel that confidence enough in our own workmanship.
I think we are beginning to. Now,
I think we are.
See, Prada has taken a Kolhapuri.
Yes. Now that is a can of worms, which I think,
I know. But I'm saying that sometimes something from India, once it's appropriated by the West, is when we begin to take notice and feel proud about it. And then we want ownership of that. And whatever it takes, I don't mind. It's fine. It's a circuitous route to feeling.
Yes. But, again, I would argue that no longer is the case. I feel like that was definitely the case 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I don't feel like we needed Prada to make a Kolhapuri.
No,
cool.
we don't.
I mean, we wear that all the time.
Our bucket list, encouraging overconsumption and ruining our planet. And as a travel magazine, what can you guys do to address that?
Look, I think bucket lists are overrated. I mean, I've never had a bucket list.
Of course, you don't have a bucket list.
I also.
Thanks.
I mean, I find the concept of it.
You are the bucket
weird,
list.
But I also get really annoyed by people who put in their bios and stuff how many countries they've been to. Nothing irritates me more than that.
People write this in their bio?
Oh my God, yes. Every travel influencer has I've been to 99 countries and counting, or whatever it is. And I find that so absurd, because if you've been to 99 countries, you probably don't know any of them really well.
Thank you for saying that.
You probably, it's pointless. That's not the point of travel. The point of travel is not to see everything that you can see. And I think that's, I think in some way, yes, of course, have a bucket list in the sense that these are experiences you really want to have, that you're so curious about, that you really want to do. But this idea of checking things off a list, everybody doesn't have to go see the cherry blossoms in Japan in April. You don't have to. If you love flowers, by all means, do it. If you're really curious about Japan, by all means, do it. But don't do it because it feels like the thing that everyone has to do.
Correct.
And I feel the same way about, the Northern Lights, whatever it is. I mean, everyone has a different
I think there was a time when all of us, firstly, we weren't traveling, as aggressively, I would say, as we are traveling today. But there was a time when we all experienced the world differently. Your trip to the same city was different from mine.
Yes.
And we saw it in different ways from different filters.
Yes. And that was beautiful.
And that was beautiful. And now we are all experiencing it exactly the same way. Divya, I actually mentioned this in my novel also because it's set between Bombay and Landor. I went to Landor with my mother 2 years ago because I find it really like a charming old colonial town, and they don't allow construction and development there because it's owned by the military, DRDO. So, my God, it was trashed and littered, and there were cars honking. There was a traffic jam. The tiny cafes were overrun with people. There were monkeys because there was so much litter and garbage out there consuming plastic. And my first reaction to that was that pre-pandemic, I had gone there just 1 month before the pandemic. And because we all post on Instagram from the love of sharing with the world, I had made a reel on it, and that reel had crazy number of views. I took my reel down because I
Yeah.
realized I'm part of this problem.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
For a place that is already trashed with people and overrun. Of course, you can go to a place in Arunachal and talk a bit about that.
Of course.
And, tell people there are cherry blossoms in Shillong.
Of course.
Right?
Of course. Look, I think one aspect of it is we try and tell people about different places. The second aspect of it is, I think also, and I feel very strongly about this, think about going to places in off-season. And that has been something that for the last 3 years at Traveler, I've really tried to drive home. We do off-season packages every single year. We've done off-season Italy and Greece and Spain and all of that.
Off-season is lovely.
Off-season is amazing and it's so underrated. And I think when you go off-season, you experience a slower, richer, more authentic version of a place. I just went to Venice 2 weeks ago. And, I remember reading in Traveler, actually, maybe 20 years ago, about a piece about Venice in the winter and how it was the most underrated time to be in Venice and how beautiful it was in the winter in Venice when the city had emptied itself entirely of tourists. And for some reason, that story just really stuck with me. And I went to Venice 2 weeks ago. It was December. It was blue skies, golden light all over. The canals didn't smell. The canals were not crowded. You could get a reservation at pretty much most restaurants, except maybe Harry's Bar. You could, and it was just, you walked everywhere and it was so beautiful. And
I think
just thought
that's a good one. Even I never thought of this, Divya.
Oh my God, it was exquisite.
No, I never thought of traveling off season.
Off season to me, honestly, is the best secret possible for when you don't want to contribute to the over-tourism and you still want to see something that has captured your imagination and that you really want to be there. Yeah. And so I think that, and a lot of places now, actually, interestingly, are thinking much more about off season. So for example, St. Moritz, which is a traditional, very classic ski destination, is now marketing itself as a summer destination.
But is it to save the planet or get more tourists in?
No, well, you know what?
It's a business decision.
It's never one reason.
Okay.
It's never one reason. And you know what? It's a very good business decision because otherwise all of the work you have is seasonal.
Yeah.
So you have all of these ski instructors who don't have jobs in the summer, and maybe some of them are very happy with that and they design their lives that way. But for a lot of people, because what happens then is, if you don't have year-round employment, you won't have people living in that place year-round. And the only way that you really get a sense of a place is when you meet the locals. So if you only have people coming in when you have all of these tourists in town, it's a very weird sort of experience.
Correct.
I think about, places like Italy in July. And
my God, it's madness.
If you want to have
insanity to go there in July.
It's crazy. And you actually, you're surrounded by more Americans than you are Italians. And it starts to sort of feel like a very weird experience that you're having.
Yeah. You're seeing David, but you're hearing some American.
Do you know what I mean? Everyone's accent is from Houston.
You've experienced success, and what has your own success in the last few years taught you about other people?
That's a good question. That's a bit hard. Let me have a think. I don't, that it's very, first of all, it's very kind words, but, the truth is, success is it's the perception you have of somebody, right? And the perception you have of yourself is the goal that you have strived for. And therefore, do you consider yourself successful or not? But more than anything, I think both success and failure are temporary. And so I think it's the key is to not let either one of them get to you. We've all seen people at great heights fall, and we've all seen people fall to nothing and rise back and make so much of themselves and honestly become better people as a result of that.
That's very wise. Huh?
And so I don't feel like, if I have so much to do and I have so many goals that I have to accomplish in this role, outside of this role.
That you never let it really...
you don't really think about it. I don't think anybody does. I think
people do. I mean, I've seen people change with success. Even a little success. Even temporary fame, which we all know is temporary. But I think it's one
But
thing.
yes, but I also feel like that's probably also just human, and I think that so much of us, all of us has a story that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
And I think for some people, maybe having achieved that level of success or fame or stardom or wealth or whatever it is, has probably unlocked for them something that was very deep-rooted inside.
Yeah.
And so I feel, yes, probably, some people are can get very arrogant or whatever, but and we all know those people. But in general, I feel like, I think we just have to be kinder to people in general.
Okay, look, India's been having these big fat weddings.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Quickly, what is it doing to our image outside of India? Do people look at it as wasteful? Are they in awe of us? What's happening? I mean, even we are all agog.
It's a combination. I think there's a lot of people that are just blown away because they've never seen it. I think a lot of people, some people still have a perception of India as being a very impoverished and poor country.
And
so
let's not pretend that we still have
100%, of course.
I mean,
and we still,
drive down any road, drive down Haji Ali today.
Without a doubt, right? So I think for a lot of people, seeing this makes them think, oh my God, this is a whole other side to India that I didn't know about. And there's some good in that. There's some good in people recognizing that there's a lot more to this country.
Yeah.
And for other people, they're sort of like, well, we know the other side of things. How can people be so wasteful? So they don't understand that part of it. So it's a combination
but
of
it's
things.
made people notice. You get asked about it when you meet.
All the time.
Really?
All the time. I think that Indian weddings just are such a draw, especially in hospitality, because an Indian wedding comes in and, it's a buyout of the hotel. It's a buyout of all of the hotels around it. It's 5 days of F&B to a level that, to be honest, a lot of the Western hotels, they do a 3-course meal for dinner.
Yeah.
That's a wedding,
That's right.
or a 4-course meal, and that's a wedding. We want 25 different courses. Then we want a separate counter, which is vegetarian. Then we need something else, which is Jen. Then we just, it's just, they have never seen that level of, I would say, abundance or generosity.
Yes. But can they handle it when they get our, destination weddings?
It depends. There are some.
I think it can shake up the soundest and most strongest of the foundations.
It really does. It really does. I remember one particular hotel in Italy, which everybody will know, but after they had one very big... Is it in Lake
Como?
I will not say. But one of them, when I went to meet them after, and I said, oh my God, you guys just had this amazing Indian wedding,
Sure.
There's so much more business there. And they were like, listen.
This is it.
We cannot do this again. Our staff will quit. They were just not prepared for what it entailed. But I think that hotels today, and I'll tell you one very interesting thing has happened. Again, since the pandemic, the way people travel has changed dramatically. So the funny thing is, I always say that now everyone in the world is traveling like Indians have traveled. Because previously, when I used to do meetings with a lot of the hoteliers in the West, they would say, oh, we really want the Indian market, but you guys are so difficult. First of all, you book last minute. Then you want only suites or connecting rooms because you're traveling with children and you want nannies to come, and then you have grandparents and everyone has to be on the same floor. And you're booking last minute anyway. We can barely get you a room. And then you want these sorts of rooms. And then you want vegetarian food. How are we supposed to cater to vegetarian food?
Right.
And then you want, you're always sort of looking for, you want 24-hour service. You want private chef. You want private butler. You want all of these things.
Yeah.
Cut to post the pandemic. And everyone in the world is traveling like multi-generational families, because during the pandemic, everyone started to live together in much closer quarters.
I didn't know that.
And what's happened since then is that a lot of people started to look at travel as a way to reconnect with their families after the pandemic. And that has now continued. So, and it's not just us, right? The Middle East is traveling in very large numbers and multi-generational as well. And they want connecting rooms. They want the whole floor,
Of course. Middle East is a different beast.
But all of it now, the Americans are traveling like that. All of the Westerners are traveling like that. And so really, and now being vegetarian is very common in the West. Being vegan is very common in the West. Basically, everyone now is traveling like the Desis travel.
Okay, that's a good one. What is the most unexpected privilege that comes from your role? Something that, people don't usually see or talk about.
I get to meet the most interesting people in the world. They have...
Like right now.
Like right now.
I somehow knew you will say that.
They by virtue of being in the travel industry, they have traveled the world. Hospitality draws a certain kind of person to it.
That's
very often they have army backgrounds, by the way.
Really?
Yes, because they're used to living in different places.
That's
they're very adaptable. They're very flexible. Nothing phases them. They're very good people.
People skills.
Speaking with other people from all different backgrounds.
Correct.
You have to have all of these kinds of traits if you're in that industry.
Right.
And so I feel like I meet just the most incredible people who are so passionate. Nobody joins travel and hospitality or journalism for that matter, any of these professions for the money.
Oh, yeah.
They do it for the passion.
And that is so rare now because everybody these days only is chasing money.
Well, possibly, but I think, of course, people do make it big and they make a lot of money.
I know,
in these
but it's very
as well,
nice when people join things for the passion of that
for the
very
passion
thing itself.
Completely for the passion.
Yeah.
And so when you meet people with so much passion and so much dedication, and they've traveled the world and they have all of these stories from everywhere that they've been, and it's the greatest privilege is to be sitting
with them,
next to them at dinner, and just you come home and I have this feeling, touch wood, I have this feeling multiple times a week, I would say. I'm in the cab going home thinking, how lucky am I?
Wow.
Which is lovely.
Which
is really lovely.
Okay, now this is your rapid fire.
Okay.
And only one answer, not 2, 3.
Okay.
Favorite hotel in the world?
You can't make me choose a favorite hotel in the world. Okay, well, fine.
Okay, let me put it this way. If you were giving your best friend a birthday treat on the 5th of September, what hotel in the world would you send her to?
Look, these answers are all very personal because it depends on what you like. And I would give you a hotel that
I'm
gave
just trying
you
to make it easier for you so that it's not the blame isn't on you.
Okay, well, I took one of my best friends to Pasalaqua in Lake Como for her birthday, for her 50th last year.
That's your favorite hotel?
And it's one of my absolute favorite hotels.
Okay, we want only one.
Okay, fine. Can I give you one in a different region, maybe?
Okay, give.
Nihi, which is an hour's flight from Bali on this incredible island in Indonesia, where they have horses that run on the beach at sunrise and sunset.
They have been brought in from somewhere else?
No, they're local Sumbanese horses.
Oh.
And they just... And you can go swimming with the horses. So you sit on the horses. We've seen the pictures. And you're riding through the waves.
Oh my God.
And it is the most incredible turquoise blue waters. And the sunlight it's golden and the most fabulous pink sunsets. And you're just riding through the water on horses. It's something that you've never imagined doing in your life. And it's the most incredible things you can do.
It sounds amazing.
So maybe we can go there in September.
Okay, done. Your favorite destination in India?
Oh, well, you know the answer to that. Kashmir, number 1, Rajasthan, number 2.
Okay. Your favorite destination in the world?
After India, my favorite country, I would say, to travel in is South Africa. The moment I got there, my first trip, I felt like I had been there before. Nothing felt alien. Everything feels like home. It's so beautiful. You can do everything from safari to incredible road trips to beautiful beaches.
This is rapid fire.
Sorry. Go to South Africa. It's amazing.
Favorite designer to wear?
Favorite designer to wear. I love Sabyasachi. I love Amit Agarwal. I love Rahul Mishra, Gaurav Gupta.
You've named everybody. Thank you very much. I asked for one.
I love them all. I love these 4 most of all, I would say.
You know this question will get dropped because we wanted only one. What the hell? Okay.
And raw mango. Sorry.
A travel trend you're completely over.
I hated the word pleasure. It's this combination of business and leisure travel.
Oh, never heard of it.
Yes, I guess maybe it's an industry thing. But this idea of combining your business and your leisure travel, which, which I totally understand. But the truth is today, I think that's just a lifestyle. We all work like that. We're global nomads. Your work is on your phone and your phone is with you wherever you go. And that's just the way it is. So I want to retire that word.
Okay. What still excites you enough to say yes?
A new destination, a new hotel, anyone that has passion
I can answer
about
that
anything.
for you.
What's that?
Pahalgam. I think
absolutely my favorite place in the world.
Yeah, yes. I think I know some of the answers, if not all. So that's a wrap.